So Diddy's not going home, and apparently Cassie has something to do with that. And that makes me feel a certain way. That rubs me the wrong way. This is a much watched trial, much speculated on trial, a very divisive trial in terms of dividing the public opinion and consensus on this man named Diddy. You know, people hated him before the trial, and people definitely hate him after the trial, especially after seeing that video of Cassie getting a butt whooping, right? Which I think affected everybody, as it should have, okay? And plenty of people support Diddy. I think now there will be more people supporting him. We already saw outside the court when the verdicts were read, and he was found not guilty of 3 of the charges that were brought against him. And it looks like he's going to be going home soon. We saw people putting baby oil all over themselves and rattling baby oil and Astroglide and all this stuff, right? Attorney Simone Redwine, she shakes her Astroglide or whatever on her channel. Shout out to her. But now I feel a certain way about this whole thing. I feel as if there is a definite conspiracy to just take this man and put him as far under the ground as they can. And I don't think it's justified. Is Diddy a good man? Is he a great man? Am I supporting Diddy's character and supporting everything that Diddy has done to people or the way he behaves in his life or how he handles his life? Nope, that's not what I'm doing. I'm talking about this from the perspective of there's right and there's wrong. There's justice and there's injustice. There's definitely an underlying thread of racism going through this and a certain amount of pure, just like witch hunt going on for this man. Time to talk. Let's get into it. Diddy, by all standards, was found not guilty, as far as I'm concerned. The whole RICO thing, which I find fascinating that experts, YouTuber and influencers outside the courthouse every day spilling the tea and giving their, it was almost like the RICO thing became the number one thing that everybody wanted to weigh in on and everybody was an expert on, right? Everybody knew RICO, and every day there was sort of confirmation that the RICO was made. The 2 predicate acts, they definitely have them on this one. I mean, there were literally videos that are titled with thumbnails in RICO. They got the RICO. The prosecutions made the RICO charge. They've done it. People you don't understand. They made the RICO today. This is coming from top attorneys. This is coming from top law, TMZ, Harvey Levin. This is coming from plenty of people online, legitimate people with, legitimate careers and law degrees. And then everyone in between and everyone below that, people who think they're experts, everyone's saying that there's no way that the RICO doesn't get made because they already made it. They proved it. It's going to happen. Well, guess what? You were all wrong. You were all dead wrong. And now what I find funny is that these same attorneys are all making this statement about how, the prosecution messed up to begin with by even bringing that charge, the RICO charge, right? Like they're admitting that it was a ridiculous charge for them to bring in the first place, that Diddy was not running a criminal enterprise. That is not what he was doing. I stress to you again, I've been trying to say this on my channel several times when it came to this RICO thing. There's an understanding of the law by the book and try to figure that and how it works and specifically what these different charges are and how they're defined by the law. And then there's sort of a common sense approach to whether or not, and what's called interpretation, and how you apply these things to a particular case. You guys don't understand nuance. You don't understand the law. You don't understand defense strategies or even prosecutorial strategies. You do not understand a courtroom. You do not understand juries. You do not understand any of this. You're rendering opinions based on, I Googled what RICO is, blah, blah, blah. I watched a couple of videos on YouTube and other people were saying that RICO, he's RICO. Yeah, he criminal enterprise. That's who he was. But you don't understand nuance and you don't understand all the stuff in between. And I knew that it was pretty clear from day one that this is not a man running a criminal enterprise. It's not what this is. This is a guy, a billionaire, a mogul, a celebrity with a lot of money and access to it and his own, odd sex life or unconventional sex life, who was orchestrating his jump offs with his females. One in particular that he dated for 10 plus years and then had on and off. And she was doing stuff in between that. We'll get to that in a minute. But it was a relationship. It was a trial it was a guy put on trial to expose his personal life and the fact that he's not exactly a great boyfriend. a drug-using cuckold man who's into that stuff. And like, that's what he was doing. He was orchestrating his time. I have repeated this, and almost becomes redundant. You go back to my videos, I keep saying this, but I feel like it's got to be reinforced, because so many of you, especially now in the aftermath of this, the post sort of commentary, the Monday morning quarterbacking, everybody discussing the results of this whole thing. There's so many of you still in the camp of Diddy should be buried alive, or he should be, crucified, or something along those lines. And you guys are making this argument that he is this terrible man, and there's injustice because he was found not guilty on 3 of the charges, the major charges. Like, you're upset, and he should have been found guilty of all those charges. Why? What are you making your case on? I'll tell you what you're making your case on. As usual, with social media commentary and everybody having an opinion these days, you guys are emotionally triggered, and you make decisions and you make your commentary based on emotion, not on realistic sort of understanding of the facts and an understanding of nuance and an understanding of how these things apply in real life. You're making emotional things. You saw that, and it's a strategy that the prosecution used early on to start this case. They put a pregnant woman on the stand, and they showed a video of that same woman years before, being physically abused by a man in a towel in a hotel, and grainy camera footage. They established the fact that this guy is horrendous. They established the fact that this woman is a victim of some sort. We'll get back to that in a minute. That she suffered under the hand of this guy at certain times in their relationship. They did a great job to paint that picture. And that picture, that image of this man and what he did and who he is the only thing that people are running with. He deserves to be put under the jail. He's no good. He's done this. He's done that. And you're painting a picture of him as something just based on your emotional response to a girl who looks like a victim in a particular situation. In that one situation, she most certainly was. Okay, let's not make light of that night. Let's not make light of Diddy's behavior. I want to keep stressing that throughout this video so no one makes that mistake. I'm not making light of Diddy's behavior and putting hands to Cassie like that. I said it when I first saw the video. I did a live where I discussed it with somebody. We talked about that video was horrific. And the fact that he treated her like an animal is disgusting. Okay, but with all that said, moving again into the real world of the law and understanding the full picture, the whole thing. This was a matter of putting a man's personal life and toxic, abusive relationships on camera and putting it in front of the public so people could render an opinion on him, right? But how much does that really align with a man running a criminal enterprise? It's not what happened here. What were the charges? He was found guilty of the 2 charges, right? Transportation to engage in prostitution. I just wanted to make sure I said it correctly. That's why I looked here. Transportation to engage in prostitution, which is 2 counts, one with Jane, aka Daphne Joy, and one with Cassie Ventura. Those are the 2 guilty, and that was basically saying, well, you decided to get a prostitute and engage in that particular act with these people, so you're guilty of that. Okay, well, they'd be guilty as well, because Cassie, by her own admission, by the text evidence, by the audio recording evidence that was played in court, was orchestrating some of these freak-offs and these nights. She was specifically calling the male sex workers that were running through her on a regular basis. She had preferences for some of them. She liked some more than others. All right, this is by her own admission, people. This is not me making this up. This is by her own admission. This is by the facts of the case. If you want to play lawyers, you guys want to play influencers and experts and everything on YouTube, go back and go look at the case. This is by her own admission. She was choosing these people. She was dealing with setting up these nights. That's what she was doing. So she should be charged for trafficking or, engaging in transportation for prostitution. She should be charged with that as well. And so should Jane Doe, aka 50's baby mama. Okay? Charge her too. This is a man, again, going back to Diddy, who put together nights of debauchery, wild king nights and freak offs with the females he was with and the ones that stuck around with him. And these are women that he probably ended up in these relationships with, transactional relationships, mind you. We'll get to that again a little bit more. But transactional relationships because he knew, hey, they were down ass. Think of how many women he probably could have had in those situations, right? That were willing and compliant and to be in these freak offs, or who got down like that, or were freaky enough to fit his lifestyle, to satiate his lifestyle and him wanting to be in the corner watching, right? Think of how many women could have fulfilled that role, right? A lot of them probably walked and were like, hell no, right? He's probably been with plenty of girls who were like, sorry, no. Kim Porter probably wasn't down with that. I'm sure J-Lo wasn't down with that. And plenty of them were just like, keep in touch, and left. He wound up coming across Cassie Ventura, who was actually down. Like, oh, heck yeah. She was probably a freak before she met him. I'm telling you this from my own experience, just from knowing how certain people are. And I'm not judging it. I'm not suggesting to you that a woman who has her sex life is different than others and less conservative makes her a bad person. I'm just pointing out the fact that she probably had a wild sex life, or she had certain places she wanted to go when it came to sex. Like, she had her own desires and her own fantasies, and she wanted to do things. Diddy aligned with her, they aligned together, and she was down with it. Again, by her own testimony, by the text messages, by the audio recordings, by the evidence presented in court, by the prosecution, by the people trying to put this man in jail. It was proven that she enjoyed, she liked, she facilitated, she orchestrated, use whatever word you want. She put these things together. She had preferences when it came to the men. She did drugs. She had a drug problem as well. She was part of this lifestyle, and it worked for her and Diddy because for whatever reason, 10, 11 years, they stuck together. So she was in love with him. He was in love with her. They had their sex life, which was, again, unconventional for most, but it worked for them. And she was part of that. Also, by her own admission, by one of the escorts basically making the case that, no, she requested for me to urinate in her mouth. That wasn't Diddy with a gun telling her, you better do this, and she was crying like, no, I don't want to do it. Please don't make me. No, the escort basically laid out the fact. Plenty of the escorts laid out. The Punisher laid out in interviews post his appearance in the actual courtroom, and I believe in the courtroom, that there were plenty. She was compliant. The conversations they had, the way it worked, he never felt as if this was some thing where it was manipulated. Like, she was part of this. Cassie knew the situation with Diddy. She knew that his thing was, and maybe she knew early on, and maybe she knew a few weeks after dating him, whatever it was, that this is his thing. She chose to stay in that. That was not a matter of, I'm going to beat you down, kill you, murder your entire family, and stomp you out if you don't do these things. And she was like, okay, please don't hurt me. Says that's not what happened. She made decisions with her body to do what she did. And she also got the bags out of it. She got the trip. She got the lifestyle that she was looking for. She got all that stuff. The fact that we even know who Cassie Ventura is only because of the fact that she got with Diddy. I venture to say. She wasn't some soon-to-be Whitney Houston. And, poor us, we're never going to know because of this whole thing. No, sorry. She made a deal with the devil. She made a deal with the devil. And I say deal with the devil because, again, I want to reiterate the fact that I don't think that the relationship was good and the way he treated her at times was good. These are two people in a bad relationship, and he had his way of being. Not a situation of, poor me, I'm suffering every day. I can't believe another one's happening. He's going to make me do these things with these guys. She could have got out of that a long time ago. I stress it. She could have gotten out of that a long time ago. She never called the police. She called a lawyer years later and ended up with $20 million, $30 million out of the situation. $30 million. And now she's writing letters to the judge to keep him in a cell because she fears for her life. I'm sorry, people. Let's get something straight. This is Puff Daddy we're talking about. Now, I know the conspiracies abound out there about how, you don't know how bad he is. He's orchestrated this and orchestrated that. He's a music producer and he's a wannabe playboy / whatever in the rap world. And he's made a lot of money. I'm not saying that he's never done some shady shit before. They all have. Okay, I'm not saying that he's a perfect guy or he's a nice guy, but I'm sorry. This idea that he tried to murder, I heard somebody comment on one of my social media pages that he tried to murder Kid Cudi. Attempted murder on Kid Cudi. That wasn't even on the record. That had nothing to do with it. He did not try to murder Kid Cudi. It's a jealous boyfriend. Why? Because Cassie, when she was off for maybe a week from him, she wound up going to screw Kid Cudi and get with another rapper and see what she can get from them. That's what happened. And he showed up like a jealous man, allegedly, broke into his home and allegedly might have done something to his dog or not, touched a couple of packages, allegedly. Again, there's no evidence of this. There's no police report of it. There's no criminal break-in. There's no video footage of him being on the property or anything. And then the firebomb at the Porsche. There's no evidence that links Diddy to it whatsoever. In fact, it's a female DNA or fingerprint that had to do with the actual car bombing thing. Car bombing. Mind you, it was a 40-ounce bottle of OE with some alcohol or whatever on it that was put into the car through the roof of the actual Porsche, the convertible rooftop, the material. And it burned the seats and made the car whatever it was. It wasn't an assassination attempt on Kid Cudi. I digress. Let's get past that. But this idea that Diddy was this gun-toting guy who was running around town and he's sort of, he's John Gotti of the hip-hop world and he's murdering people left and right and has a reputation for beating people down and doing all this crazy stuff, or he's got tons of people that are out there offing people who get in his way, is nuts. He's got 7 children, one of them very young. I think she's like 2 years old, little girl. He's got 7 kids. Again, he's not a perfect man, but he does have a family, and he's not stupid. He's got an empire. He's already made his mistakes, and I'm not saying he won't make more mistakes. I'm simply saying that you got to be you really got to be the bottom of the bottom level of like true gangster, evil, like brutal person to go through this experience and then decide that when you get out, you're going to seek revenge on everybody. Like that's just, I don't see that. You can say whatever you want. He's made threats before. What? To release freak off videos or to do what threats? Right? Like it's just ridiculous. I find it also crazy that the judge did not provide him bail and let him go home. Put up whatever amount of money it is, 10 million, 50 million, a house, to the yachts, whatever it is. Put the money on, put the man on, put an ankle bracelet on, he took his passport. Like, I don't think he should have been in prison to begin with. It just didn't make sense. And I will venture to say, and I will make it racial, because I think if this was like some white boy, a white collar crime, some guy who was like defrauding Wall Street investors or doing something along the lines of that, or doing something with, pharmaceutical companies, I think he would have been out. I don't think he would have had to have sit in a jail cell for the last 9 months. And they've got him in a jail cell. He's done 9 months. He's been found not guilty of all the major crimes, not violent crimes, mind you. He's been found not guilty of all that stuff. And instead of saying, okay, let him go home, add the time served to whatever it is the prosecution's asking for. Mind you, the prosecution's looking for something like 41 to 50 months at the most is how this could play out. He's not getting 30 years to life. He should have been allowed to go home. And I say this, again, not because I think he's a great guy and I really hope he's well and I'm going to send him a welcome home package. I don't give a crap. I don't give a crap. As far as I'm concerned, he needs to go home and restructure his life, rethink his situations, rethink how he does things, rethink the fact that he's got a little girl and other girls in his family. He's got young men that he's got to repair relationships with. He's got to learn how to treat people. He's got to learn not put hands on people. He's got to redo his character. Forget about his career for a second. People worried about the PR nightmare here and how he's going to rebrand himself and make it back into society and make it into the good graces of the entertainment world. Forget about that. Put that aside. He's got much more work to do on himself. And if you think because I'm calling out Cassie for the nonsense, and if you think I'm saying that the legal system here is wrong and that this man should be home, and I'm making the case that he is not guilty of those major charges, and I think justice was done the right way, and I think this man should go home. If you think I'm saying that because I think he's a good guy, you got another thing coming. I'm just pointing out the law and the reality of the situation. That's it. I can't believe what I'm seeing online with people believing that it's like, oh, he should burn in hell and you don't know what you're talking about. And poor Cassie, the statements by her lawyer and all this stuff, but the courage that she came for. She was in a 10 to 11 plus year relationship, a beneficial relationship, a transactional relationship, and she chose to stay there. Period. This whole idea that she never once in a year, 2, 3, 4, 5 years could have left. All the text messages, all the I love yous, she chose to stay there. Plenty of people are in relationships with people that they don't want to be. They stay around. They hang out with each other. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not a marriage counselor. I'm not a relationship counselor in this particular context. I'm simply pointing out that she was in a relationship with a man. Same thing with Jane Doe or Fitty Baby Mama, Daphne Joy, whatever her name is. Right? That was a transactional relationship by her own words and own testimony. It's a transactional relationship. She chose to stay there. Now, years later, it's, I was made to have relations on some nights I didn't want to do it. Let's go back to that for a second. Let's go back to that. This idea of consent versus not consent, which is why he was found not guilty of those major charges against him. Coercion, consent, abuse, and all this other stuff. Cassie, sure, I'll have 3 guys go through me tonight. Why not? I'll set it up. In fact, tomorrow, let's do it again. I'm looking forward to it. Last night was great. Couldn't believe that. I always love when we do our freak offs. Oh, hey, King, can't wait to do it again. Let me call this dude because I like his DIC. Yeah, like, that's her. But, however, in one of those nights, she didn't feel like doing it. She changed her mind. She started to feel, I don't know, hoish, or something about her made her feel like maybe I should slow down for a second. Or maybe she just wanted some private time with Diddy. She wanted him to bang her out like a man who loves his girlfriend. And it should just be her and him somewhere in Turks and Caicos. And he should be banging her out on his own. And there'll be no other people in the room tonight. Let's do it that way, Diddy. Can we do that? And he basically is never with that. And he's always kind of, I think I'm going to need to watch a couple guys bang you out. And that's what, she got sick of it a couple times. She's, But she went back and forth, 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 back and forth. And when she wasn't with Diddy, she went and got with other men. She ended up marrying one of them as she got with on the side. Diddy's trainer, who he was paying a trainer for her. She winds up marrying a guy and having 3 kids. Yeah, she's a victim. She was probably the most manipulative and the winner out of this whole situation. She is the clear winner. For whatever motivated this whole situation, whether it was the deep state behind the whole situation, orchestrating this in the music industry, the liquor brand industry, whoever conspired to put Diddy in his place and bitch slap him and let him know that he might be getting too big for his britches, whoever orchestrated all this by the release of the tape, the civil lawsuit by Cassie and putting his feet to the fire and having that whole situation, and then bringing federal prosecution charges, which they knew would not hold up, but they knew it would put him through a whole lot of pain and suffering, and expose his lifestyle. Whoever did all that, put her to this, they're the winners. Okay? But we got to keep things in perspective. This is just, it's bananas that so many of you out there are just instantly like, oh, poor her, and he's a monster, and he should be locked away for life. I do not think so. I'm sorry. I think he's got issues and he's got to deal with that stuff. He's got to deal with that stuff for real. And she suffered what she suffered. She stayed with him. She stood by his side. And she did it not because if he was broke or some regular brother, she'd have been gone a long time ago. She may have not ever gotten with him. I'm trying to picture Cassie Ventura getting with a reasonably decent guy who's maybe only making $150,000 a year, having relations with him, and then one day that guy's like, hey, I got an idea. Let's go to a hotel. I'll get a couple of guys to bang you out while I sit in the corner and watch. She'd have been like, what? Please. She'd have been out. With that regular guy who's got a regular condo somewhere. But it was Diddy. Diddy can help her career. Diddy can afford her the lifestyle that she wants. That's what happened, my friends. That's what happened. This whole thing stinks at this point. He should just be home with his family for 4th of July holiday. Again, to stress to the people who do not listen and who are triggered easily by nothing more than their emotions, and you do not pay attention and you don't want to hear the details. I do not think he should have ever put hands on his girlfriends, whether it's Cassie or whoever else. I do not think Diddy's a good man. He's a great guy. Free Diddy. I'm not running around playing bad boy for life. Upon the announcement of his not guilty verdict, I didn't get in the car and start playing bad boy records, celebrating. I didn't put baby oil on myself in celebration. I don't think he's a good guy. I think he's an icon, and he hustled and worked his way to fame, and he deserves his fame, and what he's done in life is not to be underestimated. His accomplishments and the good things he's done, right? As a human, as an individual, as a man, he's got a lot of work to do. None of us are perfect. I'm seeing stuff online now. I saw on TikTok and I saw on, I think it was X. I see people doing videos talking about, wait a minute. So you mean to tell me if you fly somebody out for the weekend, women are talking about getting flown out, getting flued out, right? If that happens, that technically that's illegal. Well, yeah, technically, if you arrange and discuss it, and the whole purpose of flying the person out and spending money on them is so you can have relations with them, that technically, yes, that's illegal, which again is what makes this case so ridiculous. The idea that he was personally orchestrating a couple events. He was not running an enterprise. He wasn't running multiple women out to be, have relations with other men in his crew, and he was pimping. That's not what was going on. And I think that's what we all thought was going to happen in the very beginning of the case when he was first arrested. But this turned out to be nothing more than an examination of a man who loves baby oil and watching his women getting banged out. That's all this really is. And the baby oil, the fact that the baby oil even got photographed and became part of this trial, just think about how ridiculous that is. I want you to sit back for a second and think about how ridiculous is this. We just watched an entire case where half of the prosecution's entire M was to expose a man, the baby oil thing. Photos of baby oil and Astroglide. Photos of baby oil and Astroglide. Crates full of baby oil and Astroglide. Jeez, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Is the prosecution somehow are the feds somehow in league with the Johnson & Johnson baby oil company? Like, seriously. Think about what this trial was. Baby oil and freak-offs. King nights, wild king nights. An embarrassment for Diddy? Yeah, again, I go back to what I said before. He's got to deal with this on his own. He's got boys, he's got young men that he's raising, he's got young women he's raising, he's got people he's supposed to be a role model to. He's going to be embarrassed, he's going to be shamed. He needs to get his shit straight. There's no question about it. But at this point, man needs to go home. And this is a serious violation of justice and a serious injustice when it comes to the system and how they're treating a black man, another black icon. That's what I'm going to say. That's it. Time to talk. I've spoken on it. I've talked about it. Subscribe if you want to subscribe or not. Like the video on the way out. Let me know your comments below, what you think about this, what you think about the actual verdicts, and what you think about the judge denying his bail. Am I way off base? Is it me? Is it you? You let me know. Comment below. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.